All right. Next thing. Let's see. What do we got?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the pickleball is the big open question at this point in time. It's a blank on the draft warrant. The council doesn't have to decide tonight what version. I think I heard the council say last time that they wanted to move a pickleball article to the ballot, but what size?
Well, exactly what happened last time is I put all these questions out there, and then they said yes to everything, and I almost fell out of my chair. But, because I don't know that that's ever happened. But yeah, if people want to move forward with pickleball, let's, what do you want to do?
Can I apologize. Can I jump back in and go back? I found my list.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Barrington, Campton, Derry, Greenfield, Greenland, Hebron, Holderness, Hooksett, Hudson, Litchfield, Madison, Manchester, Merrimack, Merrimack Village District, Nashua, Pelham, Stratham, Swayze, and Wolfboro.
Alphabetized. Brought to you by Justin Campbell. Yeah.
So, all right. So we're on pickleball. What do you want to do with pickleball?
I got a couple questions for the
Then
family.
you have them for the pickleball people or for us?
Yeah. Pickleball people.
Pickleball people, come on up.
Come on.
Yeah.
The PBP, pickleball people.
Hey, you could be called worse, right?
I just have a few questions that came up from the last time we talked. Did you guys have a place in mind, a location in mind that you were gonna on West Road?
Yeah.
Okay, and that.
I'm sorry. Steve Spaziani, Gary Drive.
Brian Smolik on Molten Drive.
So, Mr. Dunn,
yep.
you have the questions.
That's right. No, I said one other one is the other communities that have done pickleball. I believe a lot of them got, I guess, community service. People did things. I guess generosity. Is there any of that you guys have looked into, like as far as people like donating their time or donating their services to help the event, help the process? Or
The answer is yes.
okay. And have those been factored into the amount of money that you guys are thinking of asking? Have you guys developed an amount that you want to put on the warrant article?
Not yet.
Okay.
I can explain.
Yeah, please.
We had talked to several vendors about what we need and what we'd like to proceed, how we'd like to proceed going forward. And in some cases, they said, "Well, when you have the money, come talk to me." But I can't give you ideas about how much I'll discount or how well I'll serve you until I'm sure this is a real of interest in moving forward. Without that, can't help you.
Okay.
Too busy. And we're talking significant money here, by the way. If we go forward and have a green light, we can approach positively some of the vendors here, and I know, just based upon history and relationship, that they will react positively to our request.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Please, of course.
So given
Are
that,
you all set?
I'm all set. Yeah.
given that point, if we put forward the 6-court idea, and then you find out that there's support from vendors, can you use their support to help do 10 for the price of 6?
Anything's an option, like you're asking for, of course.
Maybe.
So this is exactly why, Mr. Chairman, I think you read my mind. So there's some decisions that need to be made in terms of the wording here. You'll see that I made it about as vague as possible as it stands right now. Other options include saying for 6 courts or for 10 courts. Other options
Up to 10 courts.
up to 10 courts would be a good way to do it as well. You could lock in the location, but the downside to that is if West Road fell through for some reason, then you can't use that money at a different location.
So
Those
what
are
he's-
all decisions that the council can make.
So what he's saying is if we only ask for 6 and you get 10, we can't do it. The way the state law is written. So we have to say up to 10.
Sounds good to me.
But if we ask for an amount of money in that would only accommodate 6. If we say up to 10, but we ask for $550,000, then we have the money for 6, theoretically.
Correct, but I think what is being suggested is that potential donors want to see Londonderry having skin in the game, and it potentially, you certainly don't want to foreclose if you appropriate $550,000 and the voters say yes, foreclose the ability to go and raise the rest from private donations. I think that's what's being
So we've
suggested.
got to be
Agreed,
careful with
absolutely,
the wording.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. So what do we want to do?
So in that case, let's put it forward with the wording of up to 10 and an amount that definitely accommodates 6.
Yeah. I'd just like to know the amount before I agree to.
All right, well, you will have another chance at
Okay,
this.
clarify.
But this is, so, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. You hear what we're talking about up here. What we're talking about up here is the Budget Committee and the Town Council are talking about going ahead and moving the pickleball question to the warrant article, and how to go about doing that, what the language would say, what the dollar amount would be. If you have input, now would be the time. Yes.
So Mr. Cassidy had made a point of, writing it for up to 10, but providing a budget of up to 6, but that doesn't equate, because if you actually do up to 10, you won't have the money to do up to 10.
Well-
So that doesn't equate, I feel like.
We have to come up with the right language. I don't know what the right language is. I don't think we need the right language till January 11th.
That's January 17th, actually. We could go as
But the
late as
next meeting is January 11th.
January 11th, correct.
So by then, we have to come up with the right language. What I'm asking you tonight is are you moving this to the ballot or not?
Well, I think I need to know how much, though, because based on what we've heard from the voters tonight, they're very concerned about their taxes. So I think we need to know how much money you're going to be asking for before we move it to the ballot.
No. They would want 10 and
I know.
550,000. You need to ask these people.
Okay.
What do you want to do? That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
I would ask you, what do you want to do?
I think before I can vote yes, I need to know how much money you want.
Well, how much money would you like to spend? You want to spend 460
No.
or 550?
What was the engineering?
The engineering thing was 6,000, it was voted down. But that was not a product, that was a just.
I understand.
Dan, how are you?
Dan.
So good to see you.
Name and
Dan,
address, please.
Hey, Dan, we missed you.
Seriously, Dan, I need a name and address. See, Cameron over here has to keep track. He still has to say it.
Oh, can we provide him a microphone, please?
Can you guys hand him a microphone, please?
Of course. Here.
Is there a number? I haven't heard a number.
Up
I
on your
guess.
screen, sir.
On the screen.
Yes.
Okay. So now I see the number. I was sitting too far away. I didn't have my glasses on. So, all right. So you're looking at $740,000.
Well, they're actually looking at their what they're saying is that somewhere in between 360 and 740.
That's a
I've
big
heard
range.
the numbers I've heard discussed here, Dan, are 560 and 490 are the two numbers I've heard discussed the most. So what I'm saying to the rest of the board here is what do you want to do?
I think it'd be better if you could narrow down the number.
Yeah.
to
Well,
try to
that's
make
what
a
I'm
decision.
asking.
To try to make a decision. Just like you did with the Lions Hall, and you said, we're not going to spend $3 million.
Are you asking me to give everybody a number?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, so what I'm thinking is if we do 6 courts and we split the difference between the 360 and the 560, and that's 460, there's always the potential to expand an additional 4 courts for up to 10 courts. But I think that 460 number, quite honestly, gives us skin in the game where we can potentially build between high and low those 6 courts. And if they get additional support from the community partners to do reduced funding for fencing and all that other kind of stuff, then they may be able to get up to their 10 courts with that additional support from community vendors. But I feel like that splits the difference between the high and low for the 6 courts. If we write it as up to 10 and then they get additional support, we can certainly give them their 10, but we're only giving them this money, the 460. I feel like that's a good, happy medium. I don't know.
Thank you for doing that, because this doesn't need to be John Farrell's decision. This needs to be the decision of the Budget Committee and the Town Council.
Right.
Okay, my concern with 460 is that your high estimates were higher than that. And I don't want to have it be a number that doesn't give you enough to get 6 courts done. If that's your phase 1 plan, we should make the number be enough to accommodate that. But I don't think that we should go for $740,000 because, for many points referenced tonight about taxes, I think that's too much.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of pickleball. I think we need something for the seniors in the community, and it's a great project. I think we should aim middle ground.
Well, the midpoint would be 550. So if we can get to the midpoint of 550, you are at least still accomplishing your low point on the 6 courts and your low point on the 10 courts.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
Hold on, I got a public comment.
So if you had a number of
Dan, your name and address again, please.
So if you had
Go ahead, Dan.
if you said 500,000, okay, and you budgeted 500, you guys went out to Company X, and you tell them, hey, I got 500,000. We want to do 10 courts. What can you do for us? Hey, we'll do the site work for you. we'll provide you with the material or whatever, all right? So you got 500 to work with, so now you're gonna make up that, up to that 740 that you're looking at by getting those donations.
That's what we're hoping for.
That's what I'm thinking, is make it 500.
The other thing that's not reflected anywhere here
Pickleball.
is possible grant money that is available
With matching funds.
with matching funds.
Understood.
And I mean, Heather's not here. She's kind of driving this for the Pickleball Task Force. And it would come to about half. What we would hope to do is get, okay, let's say 500K. 250 of that would go back in the budget after the fact through grant money. It would be reimbursed to the town, assuming the grants were approved.
All right, so, Justin, 500 is 9.5 cents,
500 is 7.8 cents.
7.8 cents. So 7.8 cents on the tax rate for 500. 600 is 10 cents? Is that what it is? I'm trying to remember what the new valuation is.
It's changed recently because of the new valuation where it's 61,000 per penny now, where it used to be an even 50,000.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Tony DeFrancesco, Winchester Court. Let's not lose sight of the fact that if a company comes in and wants to put their logo in the middle of these courts and pay the whole thing, that the money can go back to the taxpayers, whatever is voted in. So don't lose sight of that fact either. With all of these capital projects, 100% of them in the 44 years I've been in this town, the question is, what will the buyer tolerate? You put the price too high, they're going to vote no. Put the price too low, you don't have enough money to do anything. That's the hardest decision that you have to make, is where are you going to go with that? But in any case, don't lose sight of the fact that regardless of what the voters say you can spend, you can give it back at the end of the fiscal year. If you don't spend it all, if you don't spend any of it. So keep that in mind when you're making your decision. Thank you.
Has that ever happened?
So yes,
Has
so,
Yeah, it actually has.
so actually, if
On
you
at
don't,
least 6 projects that I've been involved in the town. and
That's
all those
crazy.
years.
It actually has happened.
so depending on when we find out about the donation, we can actually make it a zero tax impact.
Of course you can.
If we find out about it before we set the tax rate, we're able to put in a revenue reflecting that, which then makes it a zero tax impact for the voters. We've done that since I took over in 2019, maybe once or twice. Definitely once, but maybe twice. I can't remember exactly.
Love to see that.
No, that's the whole goal of everything, is to figure out when we have extra money to give it back.
One
Go
more
ahead.
comment.
Yes, please.
If possible. This was designed originally with ARPA money in mind. I know the town is spending about $2 million on water, but that leaves about $300K left in the ARPA money that's federal money that must be spent. As
So
I
we're going to
understand it.
decide that on January 11th, decide
that's
where
for
the
you
money's going
guys.
to come from. We'll decide whether it's going to come from the designated fund balance, from the voters, or from ARPA funds, and we'll make that decision on January 11th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think it should move to
I'll come to you next.
No, it's,
You want to go, Ron?
no, great.
Oh. Hey, no, you first. Regardless of what happens, all right? If we put it on, we're not spending the money, if we put it on the warrant article and we ask for 525, it's gonna be up to the voters to determine whether or not they wanna do it. And from what I can see, there's a big following for pickleball. So we're gonna put it on the warrant and let the voters decide. The number is, what number we're gonna get to. I say 525, that's the average.
Well,
It's high or
technically,
low?
technically the average is 550.
Okay, he's the accountant, see? That's why I won't run for treasurer.
Okay.
So my only follow-up comment is, if you're asking for 500 or 550, you got a good chance they're going to vote it down. And keep in mind that if they vote it down, you can't do anything then. So
If you
wouldn't
don't
you want to
try, you
ask for
can't
something
win.
a little bit smaller to try
Ron,
to
are
assure
you
them?
against it at 500 or 550?
I am against it at 500.
Well, that's okay.
I'm
to
speaking
say,
for myself.
then
I'm
say
speaking
it.
for myself.
That's all right.
I know the support out there for the community. The community does want this. So I'm just trying to figure out, we've had a lot of excitement in the room today about taxes. And this is going to raise somebody's taxes.
We're taxpayers too.
No. So what I'm saying is, I believe you should be asking for a little bit less, and then they might accept it. And then you can move forward and hopefully get the rest with donations. I just think if you ask for 550 and you lose, then you're done.
Right,
Ron,
it's
what do
such a
you,
big
what do you
number.
think would be a good number? What do you think, Ron?
What's palatable?
How about 250? Would be my.
I don't know what we can do with 250, to be honest. with you.
You can get donations on the other half.
Can we get 4?
Can I suggest,
You know,
Sure. Oh, hold on.
So backing it up a little bit.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I try to take everybody in order as they speak, so please go ahead.
if you go with 490, you're at the low end of your 10, but you're not at the 500. It's like it's Walmart, they say 499.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, the like 495 or
Yeah,
something, yeah.
so if you go for the 490, you're at the low end of the 10 court, and you could hopefully at least do the 6 court.
It's a good suggestion.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that would be
And
good.
that would be approximately maybe $38 in property taxes increase for each taxpayer, based off of the tax calculation. It's about $38-ish, give or take.
per year.
I'm waiting to go last. Is there anybody else up here? And then I'll come back to you guys.
Yeah, so you've talked about donors wanting to contribute. And are they just not giving you amounts? Do you have an idea of how much outside, like, could you give us some sort of dollar amount of outside support that individuals are willing to chip in to help with this project?
To answer your question, we have the big money is going to be in the site prep and the laying of the concrete or the tar, pavement, whatever we choose to go. How much money we want to spend? That's the big spend right there. We have one vendor who's done this a lot around here, American Paving, and they've done and they gave us a quote right straight up. Here's the cost, and that's what you see up there. Of course, I'm talking to Continental Paving right now, and Continental has said we'd love to help you. Don't. I'm not going to show you anything till you show me you have the money. I'm just too busy. I can't give you something unless I'm sure you have something for me to work toward. There it is. So, am I going to approach them and say I have $500,000 or I have $490,000, and I'd like to talk to you about what we can do together, working with you on this? Absolutely, but not till I can say those words. That's where I stand.
All right.
And just really quick, these numbers that are on the PowerPoint right now, they're not some arbitrary message or numbers that are out there. They during the last presentation, the Pickleball Task Force did present those quotes, so I just wanted to point that out.
This is accurate, right down to the dollar. Yes.
Thank you.
These are based on RFQ that we got back.
Thank you.
All right. So what I was, after listening to all this, because I really did want to hear what everybody had to say, even though it drove Ron crazy. If you want to be successful moving something like this forward, and your intent is to be successful, the 490 number is a lot more palatable to the voters, at least from what we've seen over many years of seeing people go and vote. It also, what's palatable to the voters is if the town also has, for lack of a better way of putting it, skin in the game. So if the council decided to put, I'll just use a number of $100,000 from the undesignated fund balance to it, so that what's actually being raised by the voters is $390. That's a discussion we can have on January 11th and everything, and talk about, doing something like that. But the reason I kept pushing everybody to a number is so we can get to that next conversation. So if that's palatable to everybody, that's a path we can go down. The 490 number, it tends to be more, the things that tend to be successful in the community is $1 million for something that they can highly identify and almost touch, like a road. Under $500,000 tends to be more successful when you're trying to do something that is more visionary, which this is. So, depending on what you want to do, that's a path you can go down. So I thank everybody for jumping in. So what do you want to do?
I'm good with the 490 up to 10 courts wording. Do you want a motion?
Well, I think what we have to do is we need to just, we've settled on a number. The town manager has to settle on language so that we don't get ourselves in a position of where we limit what we can and we can't do based on donations. Is that okay with everybody? Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody's settled on 490.
I'm good with 490.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
I have one question.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Just a reminder, what was your fee structure for users of your courts? I remember you guys mentioned membership for half the courts. Can you explain that again?
You can talk that.
So generally what would happen is anybody who's going to play would pay a lump sum of some amount per year, $50, $25, whatever it is. That would go into the maintenance of the facility itself. So hopefully and theoretically, the money for maintenance doesn't come out of anybody else's budget. That's the way Litchfield does it. That's the way Rockrimmon does it in Manchester, and it's successful. You don't have to do anything other than buy a net every now and then.
Think about it like a sewer. We pay for sewer with user fees.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
not
a big
advocating for it.
upfront
I'm just saying,
cost.
thinking about it that way.
Yeah, I just want people to be aware. There's, we're on the hook. We're asking voters for a big upfront cost, right?
Totally get it.
Right, and there's smaller fees down the road to actually use the service.
Correct. And it's
Oh,
really,
no.
no.
Membership
That's a
service.
proposal.
Right.
They won't be making that decision at the end of the day. It will go to the recreation group. There's many more steps.
Yeah, I just from my perspective, right? Big upfront costs, right? Later on, decision of how you actually manage that, right? It could turn out to be what they're proposing, right?
It could.
Right. It just makes me uncomfortable with the big ask from voters.
Yeah, the problem with that is we had a big ask from voters to use the soccer fields, and the soccer registration is X. We have a big use for softball and baseball fields, and the registration fee is X. So I mean, it's you kind of caught in the middle.
Right.
But it's a valid point, and it's an excellent point.
The fee we're talking about is minimal, and it's really to take care of the maintenance of the facility rather than coming back to the town theoretically, you know what I mean? It's, we don't want to try to task anybody with repainting every 2 years, that type of thing. Most of these places are self-managed. They run by the people that volunteer their time. So they go out and paint it when it's necessary, or repair a net, or something like that.
I understand. And what you're describing sounds like a really minimal cost.
It's small, and it really depends on how many people how many people want to join into this Londonderry Pickleball Association, or whatever it might be.
Of course.
Dawn Cava, 12 Preserve Drive. I'm part of the Londonderry Pickleball Committee also. That if that ever comes to be the fee, it wouldn't be for every person that decides to go use the courts. The courts will be open to everybody for free.
Okay.
It wouldn't be like that. It would be like some people that want to contribute to have access to the courts or a couple of the courts for specific times or something like that. So it's not everybody in the town that
Yeah,
has to
she's
pay a
right.
fee to use the court. The court will be public.
Yeah,
As
equal
far as-
access to
yeah.
that sounds great. If you want to reserve equal access. I mean, where you're talking about small fees would be what, like very small cents across the entire tax bill per person?
It would be nothing for the taxpayer. It would be people who are participating in the I want to reserve a court today operation type thing.
Yeah, I just feel like everyone should get that opportunity.
Oh yeah,
regardless of what they
any
get. They pay an extra
resident
fee.
will have that opportunity.
Well, it won't be all the courts won't be reservable.
Right. Well,
So if we had 6 courts, maybe we would do that with 3. If we had 10, maybe you do it with 4. You know
we're
what I
ahead
mean?
of the curve a little bit here.
Whatever.
Okay.
But that doesn't matter. There's no other money.
So let's bring it back. So what do you want to do? Is this going to the ballot or not?
I want to ask one more question if I can.
Of course.
Do you guys really feel comfortable that you can actually potentially get 10 courts done with 490?
With the bids I received right now, you have to understand, what I've received so far are estimates, okay, from a quote. When it gets time to doing actual bid and proposal, where now you're asking for their best and final offer, when you really start to get down to, can you lower your prices anymore? You've got 6 competitors. What are you going to do? We may be way below 490.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I have to have something to work with to get to that point.
Right. Sorry, Brian, I'm interrupting. If we went with concrete, it's a little more expensive. If you go with asphalt, it's cheaper. There's walkways in there that are 14 feet wide for access and for, tournament situations and things like that. That can be made smaller and to lessen the footprint, which would keep the cost down a little bit more. So we have some flexibility that we can try to tune after we have an idea of what we got.
Okay, back
Thank you.
again. We're going to the ballot or not?
Yes.
490.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you back. All right.